Alrighty, we're back and we have a winning week for once, right? We won. We won and we're excited because we get to do a podcast when we won, and that doesn't ever really happen. It's only happened twice. We're 2-6 after 8 weeks. Not what we expected. We've checked out. We've complained. Look at all the previous episodes. We can't change our mind now. We can't walk back on everything we said about Tua and McDaniel and Greer and the owner. Everything we've said up to this moment, we have to commit to. That's what you think. And that's what I assume all the other channels would do. Or whatever else you're watching, or whatever way everybody has said about the Miami Dolphins, we have to commit to that. We can't let one win change our mind. Right? Right? I'm not changing my mind. I'm not going to change my mind. It's still a disaster of a season. Now, let's be upset on the other angle. Oh, Miami Dolphins, you want to start winning? You're ruining my season now. Because I was committed and I was content with, okay, we're going to tank and just like rebuild, and that's what we're going to do. And I still believe that's what we're going to do. Unless, okay, if you've been watching and you follow the show, I talk about delusion. And it's a big part of being a Miami Dolphins fan. You have to be delusional to have fun, and you have to take the wins you can get. Last week was a win. It was probably, I will go as far to say that the Miami Dolphins win over the Atlanta Falcons was single-handedly the best Miami Dolphins win, dare I say it, since 2023. It was better than any of the wins they had last year. Better than any of them. There's not one that jumps out to me. Obviously, Tua was hurt, so there's frustrating games. But then even when he came back, like that 49ers win, there's nothing that jumps out that I was like, oh, this looks like the 2023 team. That game against the Falcons was the 2023 team. And it was done differently, too. It wasn't how they would win in 2023, but it was as electric and it was happening for them. So what do we do with that information? Do we get excited? If delusion is a window that you can open, we've just unlocked it and we're about to lift it up. But it's not going to be open yet. Now, we have a short week and we play the Ravens. I feel like there's a good chance Lamar doesn't play. Right? Wouldn't it be weird if he played? Or are they like, well, he almost could have played. Let's just save him for the Thursday night game if we think we could win without him. Or if you're like the Ravens, you're probably like, Miami's not a good team. Why rush it back? We have a short week. There's no practices. It's just walk through. Stoop Huntley played well enough for us to win. We could probably do it again against a bad Miami team on a short week. That's what you were thinking until you saw the way Miami played against the Falcons. And now you're the Ravens and you're like, wow, maybe we need Lamar back. But if Lamar doesn't play and the Dolphins carry over to the Ravens game the way they played against Atlanta, we can open the window for delusion. We can open the window for delusion. Because at 3-6, it's delusion season, and I can start counting wins. That's what I'm going to do for you guys. For you loyal listeners, if we beat the Ravens, we can start counting wins, and let's play. Let's play. Let's have fun. Let's see what happens. Let's say, whoa, we have an extra longer week to prepare for the Bills. What if there's a game that's going to turn around this franchise's history and it's going to turn around the culture of the team. It's starting off 1-6. They've won 2 in a row. They got the Bills at home with a little extra time to prepare for them. And you beat the Bills? Oh, the next 2 games are the Washington Commanders and the Saints with a bye week in between? Let's get delusional, dude. Let's get full delusional. Do you understand how delusional you can get? Do you understand how fun this could be? Do you understand how fun this can be? But it starts with the Ravens. Let's watch. Is Lamar starting? We don't know yet. By the time this comes out and you're watching this, maybe we know if Lamar's starting. But it feels like he might not. And if he doesn't start, there's got to be a little hope. There's got to be a little hope for us. I have it. As much of the shit I've been talking, there's a little hope. If Lamar's not starting, I'm not betting on the Dolphins. I've been betting on. I lost against Atlanta. I bet on them to lose. I'm not doing it this Thursday because I'm like, let me see. Let me just see, because they have not given up yet. But man, don't you dare give this team a little taste of victory. Don't you give this team a taste of belief, because there's a core part of these players that were part of that 1-7 team. They were. A core part of that team was still on this team. Okay? Tua, Ingold, Waddle, Austin Jackson, Achane. I believe, no, Achane wasn't there. But still, but that's it. Maybe not a core part of the team. Zach Sealer was there. I want to say Zach Sealer was there for sure. Maybe that's it. But still, that's enough players to be like, hey, we were 1-7. And I'll tell you, who's going to lead this comeback if there is a taste of this win against the Ravens? It's Jordan Brooks. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is another hot take right now for you guys. Jordan Brooks might be the closest thing to a Zach Thomas type of linebacker that we've ever had on this team since Zach Thomas. Now, we've had some linebackers come and go. We've had some edge rushers come and go since the Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas years. Cameron Wake jumps to mind. There's been a couple guys that have been like fun, and you're like, ooh, but we haven't had like a 15, 20 sack guy since, a Cameron Wake or a Jason Taylor, and we're still looking for it, and we still haven't found it between Chop Robinson and Jalen Phillips. Oh, cool. They make you scared, but they're not getting the numbers. Myles Garrett's getting 5 in one game, and these guys can't even get 1 this season. So that's frustrating. But when they play and everybody does their jobs and Jordan Brooks can lead, that guy's got the heart of a lion. You see it out there, man. He's out there making plays like it reminded me of Zach Thomas. Like, it's like, oh, this guy's on every tackle, cutting through gaps, getting running backs tackled for a loss. And I like this guy a lot. This guy is what our defense, he's the face of our defense, and we got to keep going with that. I like it a lot, man. He's really cool. We got a TV in the background going on. I hope it doesn't pick up. But I really like Jordan Brooks. And as we talk about him, there's a good ambient music in the background that probably would work with him, with talking about him. That should be on. I don't know if you guys are hearing it, but if you can, it's awesome. What is the timing of that, for that to come on? Jordan Brooks is the closest thing to Zach Thomas, and I love it. I love it, man. It's unbelievable. I think this is a sign. This is a sign that we are allowed to be a little bit delusional and get excited for this Ravens game. Why not? Listen, if our season is going to be bad, then let's take this week to be so excited that, like, hey, this is our Super Bowl week. We're not going to the playoffs. We're not going to the Super Bowl. So what? You know what? This is it. We're gearing up to play the game of the year for us. Because if we do win, you're letting us taste victory. And you let us get delusional for that home Bills game. If there's not a game to turn it around, that is the game. I'm telling you, we're this close. Isn't that funny what one win does to our fan base? So delusional, but I'm just telling you, it's unlocked. I'm not opening up the window. We unlocked it, but I'm not going to open it up. But I'll tell you what, man. Next week's Dolphins recap, man, is going to be on fire if we win. But before we get ahead of ourselves, Mike McDaniel, I love him still, man. I really do. And I don't know how you guys feel about him. And I know we were all saying fire them all, and it was like, well, I guess he's got to get fired because it's become so bad with the noise and stuff, and you just have to have a culture change, and it's unfortunate, but I do love him. And this game plan that they came up with, I don't know why it took so long, or maybe it's because they're in desperate need, and I don't know where it came from, but Dan Brunskill, is it Dan Brunskill? I guess he played with Mike McDaniel with the 49ers, but the biggest story coming out of the Atlanta game is we had 6 linemen, and that produced about 5 to 7 runs of more than 10 yards, I think, when he was in these packages. It wasn't every down, but it was a package that I think threw the Falcons off, and they said that they wouldn't have any idea what to do because we have never done it, and there's no tape of it. So you could assume that the Falcons are watching tape and being like, we should expect this. But is this a place where maybe this package becomes our our Ronnie Brown Wildcat story? Remember that? That was a fun year, and that started off like maybe in week 3 or something and turned our season around, and we ended up having the Chad Pennington playoff year. I think that was the last time we won the division. A little too late for that, but if this is something that can spark the offense to play more efficient and clean ball, where Tua's throwing 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions, so be it. If there's a time to turn it around, it's now. Beat the Ravens, prepare yourself for the mega Super Bowl of this era, and playing the Bills at home and winning that. The whole thing is flipped over. If you can pull off 3 wins in a row because of this package, and it's producing a more efficient offense, and the defense plays how they played, you had the number 1 rusher, or I would say one of the number 1 rushers in the NFL, if he was maybe 2 or 3 behind Jonathan Taylor, which we'll get to in a second. But I mean, like, one of the best running backs in the NFL was just shut down. Betting against Miami's defense was easy money, almost. I mean, even though the Browns running back, he didn't hit his over in that game because it was such a blowout, but like, because there was defensive touchdowns. But like, if you bet whoever the running back was against playing the Dolphins, if you bet the over, that's easy money. And that was the first time this defense showed up. And it was weird because this defense was supposed to be so good with Anthony Weaver. They were so good last year, and you were excited about them this year, and they just could not stop the run. And for whatever reason, they just showed up, and they're stopping the run, and you're like, can they do it next week? Because right now, your biggest test was Bijan Robinson, but now you got even a taller glass to take down with Derrick Henry. And if you could do that 2 weeks in a row, guess what you have on the 3rd week? Another leading rusher in the NFL with James Cook. So you're going against the 3 best running backs, arguably in the 2 of the best in the AFC, one of the top 2. All right, basically the top 3 running backs in the AFC, you would argue, is Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and Derrick Henry. And then you have Bijan Robinson over there in the NFC, and like, you had to play him and you shut him down. I'm just saying, if this defense is for real, was this just one game in the whole season, or is this going to be the identity of what the defense is going forward? Are they going to be this defense that knows how to shut down the run, and they're going to make Huntley beat them, which we know he can't do it because we saw that for 5 games last year. So are we going to let Stoop throw the ball over us? He can't. He won't. There's no way it's going to happen unless he has a complementary game with his defense and special teams, and his running game is working with Derrick Henry, which it kind of did last week a little bit. So what we need to do is stop the run again, led by Jordan Brooks. Led by that. And if that happens, then you could argue that, okay, maybe this defense is finally woken up. The fact that they played that hard and that efficient, and they played the best all-around game that they have in 2 years, says a lot about this locker room. And that all this outside noise, is it true? It can't be true. It can't be true if all these sports shows and all these outside people talking about the Dolphins say they want a clean house. What do we hear? The locker room. I even said it. Tua's lost the locker room. I said he lost the locker room. And then they come out and have a perfect game. We don't know what we're talking about, and we're just guessing. We're all just guessing. Nobody knows what's going on in that locker room. Only they do. And the fact that they responded like that and won when starting off 1-6 and having one of the worst games that we've seen in the McDaniel era against the Browns, they come back and have the best game that we've seen since the 2023 season. So that is something to be said and something to be excited about, that if this defense continues this into the next game, then we have something to talk about. Now, all of this could be nonsense, and we could just totally shit the bed and lose to the Ravens like what we would expect. A primetime game against the Baltimore Ravens, who we've only beaten once in like the last 6 years, and it was when we were 1-7, and we were coming back and winning a bunch, and we sent that zero defense, and we were blitzing Lamar, and they had no answer for it. I think that was the only time I've ever seen them beat Lamar. Outside of that, he's dominated us, and they've blown us out 2 of the last 4 times, I think. So, is this another trap for Dolphin fans? Are we like, okay, hold on, let me get excited about Atlanta, see what this defense is doing with the run game, and hope they do it against the Ravens, and then we get excited, and then we turn the game on, and it's Thursday Night Football, and at halftime, it's 24-3 Ravens, and we're like, why did I fall for this again? That's what will really piss off the fan base, and that's when you're like, get rid of everyone. That's when we'll be really pissed, right? If that happened. But I don't want to believe that happened, because these are professionals. We're in the NFL, and these guys are machines, and I feel like they are excited about the way they played, and they want to continue that. So I would be totally shocked if they lost like they lost to the Browns, because at least the Browns loss was like demoralizing, leaving the Chargers loss the way we lost that, and the Panthers loss. Like 2 horrible losses where you should have won those games and you didn't. And then it was just like, all right, get out of this. And then they did with the Ravens. So I would be shocked if they just shit the bed and went back to Browns and Chargers and Panthers football. It feels like they can carry this on. But maybe I'm a sucker, but I don't know. It feels like maybe this is the defense we were expected to see, and they played hard and they're embarrassed and they're sick of it. So there's something to be said about that, and there's something to be said about throwing in 6 linemen, which you've seen a couple teams do it around the league, and maybe this is the key to running the ball a lot. I talked about this earlier in the year when it was like, I think when Tyreek got hurt, I'm like, what if we're just a run offense? Tua throws the ball 20 times, and that's it. Make it easy for him. Maybe there's something to be excited about. And that's all this channel is. All this channel is to create excitement for Dolphin fans. Because, listen, even if we're going to have a bad season, we got to find ways to be delusional and be excited. And that's one thing I always, preach. So I'm saying, let's get a little excited. We don't expect anything. We expect what always does happen. We'll show up Thursday night and we'll be down 24-3. And if that's the case, so be it. Thank you for the Atlanta game. Thank you for the Atlanta game. And thank you for teasing us again like you usually do. But before it gets started, at least today's Monday. You're watching this. It's Tuesday. At least we have 2 days to be a little bit delusional. Outside of that, just looking at the stats, I mean, you got to love Achane and Waddle. So, like, when people are like, hey, trade the house before the trade deadline, I'm like, trade Phillips, trade Chubb, trade any defensive player for picks. None of them are good enough. The defenses looked horrible. Keep Brooks, that's it. Keep Patrick Paul. By the way, watching Patrick Paul and some of when you replay the game and you watch Patrick Paul, like, do some lead blocks, like, he's good. We got a left tackle, dude. There's one guy that's great. We got a great center. We got a left tackle. Our left guard's, that seems like a bust. I don't know. Maybe he'll get better. But we got a left tackle to build around, at least. And then, I love Waddle and Achane. I love him. And people are like, is Waddle's contract bad? Is he a 1? Let me throw something out at you. Is he a 1? Ask yourself that right now. I'm asking you guys now. Is Waddle a 1? What is a 1? A 1 is someone that is the number 1 wide receiver on 20 out of 32 teams. Would he be that? I think so. I think he would be the number 1. And just to give you a little heads up, Waddle is 12th in the NFL in receiving yards. So there's 32 teams. So I assume there's 32 ones. Right now he's 12th. And guess what? He's 3rd in the AFC. There's only 2 other players in the AFC with more receiving yards than him. So if the Pro Bowl was to be next week, he's a Pro Bowler, right? 6 wide receivers get Pro Bowls, 5, maybe 4. He's a Pro Bowler technically, and touchdowns, he's got 4. There's only one guy with more touchdowns than him. He's got 4. I think there's a guy with 5. There might be another one with 6. I think in the AFC, there's only one guy with 5. So Waddle is 3rd in the AFC and second in touchdowns. So surprising. It might have not felt like it, but he is. Scores a touchdown in Atlanta game, scored a touchdown in the Panthers game. I believe he scored a touchdown in the Chargers game. He's scored a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. Something to be noted. He's on a little streak here. Okay? So since Tyreek got hurt against the Jets, Waddle has scored a touchdown in 3 of the last 4 games. So he is being utilized, and he is acting like a number 1. So I think we got to back up on talking about maybe him not being a 1 or not being worth his contract, because I think he's just heating up, to be honest with you guys. I think we're going to see a lot more from him, and he's getting confident, and I think that's the game Tua needed to be confident. Still not on, listen, regardless of what I was saying earlier in this episode, hypothetically, we beat the Ravens, we go into the Bills, maybe we win or we don't. I don't think Tua's the guy that's going to win a game in the playoffs. Maybe if you were matched up against Patriots won the division and we're the wild card team and we're playing a young quarterback, but if he has to play Mahomes, Allen, or even Rodgers, do I think he's going to face off against these guys? I don't know. At this point, the Colts are in the playoffs. They're 7-1. They're in the playoffs already. They only have to win 3 more games. They're in. With literally 9 games left in the season, they have to go 3-6 just to make 10-7. You're in. So Colts are in the playoffs, and that's already what a great story. Comeback Player of the Year, Daniel Jones, locked. Achane, another one. Achane stats, unbelievable. You love to watch him. I love to watch him run. Achane is 8th in rushing in the NFL. That's 8th in the NFL, 4th in the AFC. Close to a Pro Bowler. He's close. Obviously, in the AFC, it's harder because you have Jonathan Taylor, who's on a monster year. He's got 12 touchdowns, by the way. 12 touchdowns through 8 games. This guy might get close. What was it? Sean Alexander got 28 one year. I mean, there's a couple years where LaDainian Tomlinson had in his 20s. I don't think we've seen a running back get close to 20 since Mostert when he got 18 that year. This guy's, it wasn't Mostert's 18 total touchdowns. It wasn't rushing, was it? Or was it 18 rushing and 3 receiving? It was something crazy like that. Someone would have to fact check me on that. But Jonathan Taylor with 12 already is impressive. But Achane, 8th in rushing in the NFL, 4th in the AFC, and he's got he's top 30 in receiving receptions. So he could be an outside Pro Bowl guy, a guy we're going to have to pay next year. But I love them, man. Who would you get? Achane or Waddle jersey if you had to? If you had to get a jersey, Waddle or Achane? It's a tough decision because that's my next jersey is one of them two. That's where I'm at, guys. I hope that feeds you. I'll give you my power rankings. Power rankings for this week. At number 10, I got to put the Broncos. A pretty dominant win over the Cowboys. They looked good. I don't like that they look good, but they're 6-2, man. They're 6-2, so they're 10. And this top 10 is hard because there's teams that you might think I left out, but I'm like, they can't. I do my power rankings not based off of streaking and who's doing better. It's is the team above them who would win? Who would win if they faced off? This is how I think. Okay? Number 9 is the Patriots. It means if the Patriots and Broncos played, I think the Patriots will win. I guess that's just depending on where it is. But I would probably lean towards the Patriots. The Patriots are number 9. Number 8, I have the Rams. The Rams, I think if they play the Patriots or Broncos, they're winning. They're good. They could probably be higher. But I gotta see them against these other teams that I'm already really high on. And number 7 is the Packers. Now, if the Packers and Rams were playing, I assume it would be the same as the Patriots and Broncos. Whoever's home's going to win, but I'm going with the Packers because, they got the tie and they don't have that extra loss. But I think the Packers and Rams are both way better than the Patriots and Broncos. I wouldn't say way better, but they're better. Number 6 is the Bucs. I've been high on the Bucs all year. And yeah, they had a couple losses. They lost to the Eagles, and then they had that other loss against, who was it? Was it the Chiefs or I forget who the other loss was just a couple weeks ago, and that was frustrating. But they're back on. They're gonna be there, and I'm excited for them. And I think that the Bucks could beat. I think they lost to the Rams. That's who it was. The Bucks, right? Let me double check that. Now I'm curious who the Bucks lost to. But overall, so I have 10 is obviously I gotta have. I mean, would you put the Seahawks in over the Broncos? You could argue that, but I'm not doing it. Who was it? Okay. So the Bucks beat the 49ers. But they didn't lose. Who was their other loss? They lost to the Lions. It was the Lions, and they didn't look good against the Lions. That's what it was. They lost to the Eagles and Lions, who, obviously those guys are going to be higher on my chart too. So that's why. So Bucks are 6, 7 Packers, 8 Rams, 9 Patriots, 10 Broncos. Bucks are beating all of those teams, I think. I think they can. And that's why, at 5, Eagles are back. I don't know what's, they always create this drama around the Eagles, but they did this last year. And then the year before, they went 10 in a row, and then they lost a bunch of games towards the end, and they lost in the playoffs. Something was going on there. But listen, I'm not falling for it. It's fool's gold when people want to say there's a problem with Philly. They're going to be right there in the Final Four. I would be shocked if they didn't make the Final Four this year again. Getting out of the division series, that's going to be hard. They're going to have a home playoff game in the first round if they don't get the 1 seed. So if they're going to win that, and then arguably, who's going to be the 2 or 3? You feels like the West will be the weakest seed, or the South, and then maybe, the North and East are 1 and 2. But Eagles at 5. I'm putting the Bills at 4. I know they lost 2, but I think that was just let's snap out of it and get back to what they were. And that was a pretty dominant win that they had. So I'm not worried about the Bills at all. And then the Lions are at 3. We've been high on them since after week 1 when we thought they weren't good, and people are like, are they not good anymore? It's of course they are good. They just ran into the hot Chiefs, but they're going to be just fine. And their next few games, they're going to destroy the Vikings this week, especially if JJ's coming back. And then they have the Commanders, and then they have a nice test against the Lions Eagles. That's a good preview. So, I mean, look, I don't think they're going to slow down. I think they're pissed about that Chiefs loss, but either way, I'm high on them. I could probably put the Bills ahead of the Lions maybe because they had a bye week, but I don't want to hurt someone because they had a bye week. The Chiefs, the Lions are 3, Chiefs are 2, and Colts are 1. Do I think the Chiefs are beating the Colts tomorrow? Yes. So I'm contradicting what I'm saying, but the Colts are 7-1, and for the time being, they deserve to be number 1. Right? They've shocked the world, and they've been blowing people out, and they're 7-1, man. They're 7-1. You could argue that Jonathan Taylor's an MVP candidate. So Colts, Chiefs, Lions, Bills, Eagles, Bucks. I don't think those 6 will leave the top 6 for the most of the year. And then I think Packers, Rams, Patriots, Broncos, that could be all interchanged. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. A reminder of what my ultimate goals are. Yes, I'm a stand-up comedian. Yes, I have some shows coming up. I have Orlando on the books. Orlando, Florida, January 30th and 31st. You can get tickets at michaellenoci.com. But a reminder to subscribe to this channel and help me build it. For now, this is a hobby. I don't have the bandwidth to put all of my efforts into it. But I do have goals of going back to Florida and being a Miami Dolphins personality for the South Florida locals and having my own sports show down there after stand-up comedy. So that would be possible. Why not work on it now by building my YouTube page so you guys can like and subscribe to the Michael Lenoci Show, as we are Miami Dolphin fans. Sometimes we talk about the Heat. Sometimes we talk about the Panthers. Sometimes we talk about the Marlins. Sometimes we talk about college football. 99% of the time, we're here to talk about Miami Dolphins in the NFL. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later.